here in the in Zoom, and I'll also send it over into the Lightning Makers chat. But that's minutes that Bretton's taken, and feel free to add and contribute to it, and also add in details if you're sort of new on these calls as well, to give people an overview of what you're working on. So yeah, with intros out the way, just general updates on what people are working on, successes, failures, that kind of thing. So, and I mean, am I right that more people are using this at the moment to rebalance channels? Like it seems.
Yeah. So the first week we have integrated the exchange from BTC, from writing BTC to altcoins, and people tried that. But the second week we have added the features which people asked for, is lightning Bitcoin to Bitcoin, and actually we tripled the volume because people used only this exchange from lightning Bitcoin to Bitcoin. It seems it's
And the adding lightning to altcoins was as a result of people asking for that feature.
Altcoins to lightning, you mean?
I thought you said lightning to altcoins, or
yeah. So originally the service was designed to like exchange from lightning Bitcoin to altcoins. That was just easy to do. Yeah, and then we have added from Litecoin, from Lightning Bitcoin to Bitcoin, and from Bitcoin to Lightning Network Bitcoin.
And so, these additions were all as a result of people asking for that within the trial.
I believe it's just because there is no splice of mechanisms right now, and people would just like to.
And I think two weeks ago you said something like it was it 80% success, and then there was like 20% manual fixes that you had to do.
Yeah. Right now it's about 5%. So yeah, we have some other stuff, but the main stuff is fixed. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Andrew, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So let's say hey, yeah, I recognize you. We talked about it. We talked about it. Maybe like a year. Anyway, so let's say someone who doesn't have a payment channel open. Is there a way for them to create a payment channel using your service, or do I need to?
So the first version we have done it's pretty easy. It's just try to send payment. So if you send Bitcoin, and we will try to send Lightning Network payment to you. And if you don't have channel, then we will not create it. But the second version of it, which will be pretty soon, I believe, we will try to send payment, and if it fails, and we have the information about you, or you connected to us, which so we will create a payment channel to you based on the public key, which is encoded in the invoice.
Cool. I assume you looked into the Bitrefill proposal recently, where they basically allow you to create a payment channel with the output, with the return output.
So, yeah, could you repeat the use case? Like for
so what it does is there's like a. Let me refresh my memory on this. So basically, what it tries to do is, when you have a default fallback Bitcoin address, so if the Lightning payment fails, then there's a default fallback. And then in that address, when it sends the output, it gives you the option to create a payment channel with the same output. So it kind of like, instead of using multiple transactions, you just use one. It's a really good blog post that explains everything. I'll find the link and send it to you.
Yeah, okay. I should have read it, I believe.
Yeah. Bitrefill is pretty cool. I don't know. I think you might be able to benefit from that too in your service.
Yeah, thank you.
And Andre, when you said about the angel stuff, are you able to share like any rough sort of range of what you're trying to raise on the angel side of things?
Yeah, I mean, we have built Zigzag, realized that I mean it's hard to use even for us because of the inability to set up wallet properly, and I thought that probably there are many people out there which just want to try Lightning Network and don't care about custodial stuff. So yeah, and we starting developing wallet already started, and for that reason the numbers like we are looking for 25K from one investor or more. So it's way safe if you know what I'm talking about. 3 million cap and 80% discount. That's the numbers.
Cool. And just as I guess as a very quick overview, if anyone's not familiar with the YC Safe, I'll drop a link in the Zoom chat. But it's kind of similar to a convertible note. It's just a faster way to raise without having to spend a load of time on sort of due diligence and all that kind of stuff. But I'll drop a link as soon as I found it. Cool. So, I mean, just as a side note, I think Alina and Zuko, who I think are in the group, they announced at the Rigor event this the B Foundation, and I feel like part of what they're doing is giving out grants for. I might be wrong with this, but I feel like they're giving out grants and for any development that's helping towards Bitcoin adoption, and I feel probably Lightning is part of that. So potentially it might be worth dropping them a message, because maybe that would be in the range that would be of interest to them, and also anybody else as well. It seems like they, like I say, if I'm right about it, are doing that. So
yep, the B Foundations seems to be targeted on core development, I believe. Probably I'm wrong. So it's more like investment.
I spoke with Zuko like last week or earlier this week, and I did mention Lightning, and he seemed to be open to it. So I don't feel like it's just Bitcoin Core. It just seemed to be anything which is pushing the adoption of Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin Core is going to be a major part of that, but I feel like they're open to Lightning. But drop the question in the chat. But to me, it sounds like a 10 or a 20 grand range would probably fall within that grant space. But yeah, I've dropped the link to the safe in the group chat if anyone's wanting to have a better overview of what safes are. And also in the minutes, if we put down this kind of stuff, that there is obviously some of us looking to raise money. There is a few more VCs that are joining the chat, and I feel like that's only going to increase in the next few months. So it will be good if people are open about what they need to raise, because there's just a few more people floating around that might be able to actually execute on some of that stuff for us. Cool. So
maybe I can just add the B Foundation. I think they're also focusing on Lightning. I think I read the transcript from the Honey Badger conference where they said it's mainly Bitcoin Core Dev and Lightning, plus some minor projects like security and privacy and these kinds of things. But Lightning was one of the main focus, I think.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. We'll drop a note in the chat as well, just to get clarity on it. But I feel the same. I'm pretty sure. That's what Zucker was saying as well. Okay, cool. Who wants to go next and give an overview? Unless anyone's got any other questions for Andre with Zigzag. All right, cool. Thaddeus, I think this might be a good time for you and Matt to give your kind of overview.
Yeah, sure. I guess I can talk. So we've been working on Chainrift for roughly over a year now, and currently it's a centralized custodian exchange at the moment, but we're sort of looking long term, and we're trying to move from a centralized custodian exchange and sort of to a non-custodian model. So I think like right now our main focus is, first we want to sort of like separate the wallet component from the trading engine, and then we're also looking into adding Lightning deposits and withdrawals to sort of separate us from all the other sort of altcoin exchanges. So that's sort of like our long-term goal, and it's still a work in progress. Maybe Ferdows can talk a little bit more about it.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, like in order to get to that stage where we're using Lightning and Atomic Swap, we need to separate out our wallet component from the trading component, and then transition into more like a non-custodian wallet, as opposed to using like custodian wallets that we do right now. I think like the way we're doing it is because like people are already used to having custodian wallets on all the exchanges. So this is kind of like what people are used to and what they use right now. So it's like, we don't want to introduce like a drastic change right away. It's also like the Lightning plus Atomic Swap is not like 100% ready for use on mainnet anyway, even for Bitcoin and more so for the other alternatives. So we're thinking like the way we'll go about it is like we're at the process of refactoring our code and separate the two components. And then once that's done, we're going to transition into more like an app style model where we have the private keys of the wallets saved on the desktop of the user or the device of the user, and eventually integrate Lightning and then Lightning with Atomic Swap. So it's a pretty like a long-term goal. We're probably thinking like it will be another 6 months to a year. Maybe even longer. We'll see.
I'm sorry, I think I missed it. Are you guys funded? This is Oleg.
Yeah. Do you guys hear me all right? Or yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of like a angel investor myself, and we have a few other friends who are also funding our project. So we are kind of like using our internal funds right now, and we have like enough money for us to like last for a long time. So we're not looking for like outside capital at the moment. And that being
Thank
said,
you, Jared. Yeah, go
that
ahead.
being said, though, like we're very close to being a sustainable operation on its own, just from trading fees that we collect. We don't have as much volume as like a mainstream exchange. But part of the reason is like we haven't really like done a marketing push yet. We're just like, we have been testing our exchange for over 6 months, and we're like improving it over time. So we think that we'll be able to, I guess like we're feeling a lot more confident now. Like we have been collecting a lot of feedback and making a lot of changes. So like when we feel 100% ready, we're going to do like more of a marketing push. But even without that, like we're slowly seeing a lot of like people signing up every day. So it looks like we'll be like getting to a sustainable point within the next few months.
May I ask a question about that?
Sure thing.
What about the BISQ or BISC network? They're building a decentralized non-custodian exchange, pretty successful, I think. The entire code is open source. Any thoughts of integrating this or making this part of your service?
We didn't want to do the decentralized route, mainly because of speed and performance. We didn't want like every user to run a node, for example. We want to use our trading engine, which is not really like compatible with distributed like P2P style application. So the idea is like you will have the funds on your device, like let's say desktop or cell phone, but when you upload him through Lightning Network to our exchange, you'll be using our centralized order book.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
It's mainly for the performance and scaling issues.
Are you also going
to the UX?
Are you also going to? Is this something you're going to white label and offer out to other people as well?
Our goal is to make the wallet section open source. So it's like you could build your own implementation of the wallet if you want, but we want to keep the order book part for ourselves because that's our revenue, right? That's like our only source of revenue. So ultimately, it's a business, and we do want to monetize it too.
How are users' funds stored? Is it? I presume it's offline wallets or
right now.
Currently,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, Matt, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So currently we actually store user funds. This non-custodial vision that we sort of have is more of a long-term goal, but right now it is currently stored on our exchange.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do have like like we only keep like a very small amounts on the hot wallet. Most of the fund is like in cold wallet, the usual stuff that you'd expect a serious exchange to do.
So like the majority of funds are in these offline cold wallets, and then sort of for the sort of daily trading stuff, you have these hot wallets with.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And the cold wallets are basically like a multi-sig wallets with and all the key holders are like geographically separated in different places. For OPSEC reasons, we don't even divulge like who owns the wallet keys, but it's like multiple people from different parts of the world who need to coordinate to move funds back from cold wallet to hot wallet.
Okay.
Also, the other thing too that we sort of thought of when it comes to listing new coins on our exchange is we don't plan on listing anything that doesn't have multi-sig support, and that's sort of the way we decide whether we list a coin or not.
Okay.
Well, that's like one of the reasons, but yeah, there are other criteria, of course, but yeah, we kind of like focused on. We didn't want to like just include all the forks of Bitcoin. We just wanted to focus on the coins that are kind of like building something new. Like also like kind of like focused on coins that, for example, are not listed in other major exchanges. For example, like we listed Tezos when it came out before anyone else did. So that's how like we kind of like attracted a lot of new users, like Tezos and EOS. What else? MateSafe. So it's like coins that offer something new but are not really like traded on the major exchanges. That's where we're kind of focusing on.
When did you guys launch this?
Officially, I think like when was it? September? Matt,
no, this was early August actually.
Okay, but like when did we like make the first like announcement? Let's say like the.
Oh right.
I think it was like September, October. It wasn't very long ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We actually didn't have an official launch date. We sort of opened it up to our friends, and we messaged a few people. But I would say like I think when we made the official announcement, it was around sometime in August.
Yeah, it's true. Like the beta testing has been going on for like a long time, more than 6 months.
Cool. And just so I've got it right, 21 mil is like the overarching company.
That's right. So it's like originally we have been doing Bitcoin consulting since 2014.
Yeah.
And in 2017, we decided to because one problem we kept having is that most of the times, like I would say like 90% of the time when people would consult us, it's because they wanted like help with some other coin and whatnot. Like most of the projects were not very promising or interesting or outright scams. So we kind of got like tired of it, and we figured like, we need to focus on building our own products. So we built like a white label exchange solution. The idea originally to like people who wants to launch exchange in their own jurisdiction. So that's how like we built the core components of Chainrift. Everything is like customizable. There's like an admin panel and all that stuff. But at the same time, like we had trouble finding like the right kind of clients for our exchange solution. So we ended up like launching our own. So the idea is like if the Chainrift is successful, then if other people wants to use our service to launch an exchange in their own jurisdiction, then they can white label our solution.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay. All good. All right. Jared, did you want to talk about the sort of video that you shared? I think it was yesterday or Friday, and talk a bit about what it is you were putting on there.
Yeah, sure. I just put the link in the group chat and also put it on the meeting notes. So yeah, some of you have seen the video. So what it is, it's just a demo of sort of the back-end software we've been building. So I call what we're doing sort of an art application, kind of, not out of dissimilarity to Satoshi's Place. I mean, it's got a slightly different thing going on. So what we do is, well, what the plan is we take submissions from artists of a two-dimensional image. Our system will break it apart into the individual pixels and calculate like a Merkle root of all those pixels. And if we're selling you the pixels individually, we're actually using the pixel data as the Lightning Network pre-image to trigger the payment. So the art gets released globally. So the art is private starting, and then as people buy Satoshi's pixels, or there's a variety of price. We haven't quite figured out how that's going to work. But yeah, then the art fills in. So that's sort of the idea. We spent. It's a team of 2 of us that are working on it. We had an application we never launched that was built around Counterparty, sort of the Rare Pepe cards, the Spells of Genesis cards. We spent some time with that community, and we found, there's a lot of artists, like really good artists out there that want to monetize their art. They're excited about crypto stuff and all that. So this is sort of our attempt to find a way to, kind of engage that and answer some of the weird questions about, like, some people think this blockchain art is some sort of like DRM solution. Obviously it's not. But like in this app where you can sort of monetize the debut of your art. So yeah, the video kind of breaks down kind of like the state of how it's working. We're also putting a lot of work into the front end of it to make sure that, the presentation of the art is very nice. So it's like kind of, doing respect to this art that people obviously put a lot of time into. So that's another component. See, what else can I say? Like we're starting with 2D images. That's because it's easy. It's, it works in the web browser and all that, but there's no reason why the same concept couldn't be applied to like audio. Like if an artist wants to release a song and sort of crowdfund the release of that song, they could do that. I mean, text by the word, by the letter, stuff like that is also very doable. Kind of the other little feature we have, and it's touched on briefly in the demo, is if a user is buying a piece of, a pixel from the artist, that the user that's buying, at the time they generate the invoice, they can like put sort of their string of like, here's a message I want to put to forever associate with the purchase of that pixel. So if somebody later there wants to zoom in that art and find out, okay, something about whoever bought it, they can also do that. That's very similar to how like SoundCloud works, where they have all the little flair of all the listeners that got to like tag certain moments of the song with their little message. It's sort of engaging the audience with the artist in that sort of way. So yeah, we're trying to get our proof of concept built and out there and launched, hopefully by the end of the year, hopefully sooner. And then, yeah, just continue with the idea from there, assuming it takes off.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah. So you come up with this Merkle tree structure, but could you clarify what kind of problem you are trying to solve with this thing?
Yeah, so it's it's a little bit fetishistic with the cryptography in that we're proving to you that it's an authentic pixel. That's some of that's for artistic effect, but we're looking at the tech stack and kind of like, this is a very simple kind of microcosm of like, if you're selling like a block of data, for example, and other people are probably working on similar projects out there. Where if you have a gigabyte file and you want to break it up into smaller chunks, you need to, and if you're selling those chunks, you need to prove that it is in fact a piece of the larger thing that's being bought. So looking with pixels, we're trying to at least do the sort of the minimal thing where it's it's obviously a small piece of data, but then also like I think. Just the state of the Lightning Network, it's still very, very educational. Like, we need to show people how Merkle trees work, frankly speaking. So to have kind of an engaging thing where, a teenager who's just learning about this stuff for the first time can kind of see, okay, I bought a pixel and, oh, look, it was a part of that art, and I can understand what a Merkle proof is. That's, I would say, is kind of part of our mandate here, again, yeah, nobody here is looking to make $1 billion out of this. Neither are we. We're just seeing what sticks and kind of figuring out stuff now, such that maybe in a year, we can have a next idea and a next idea, and trying to just figure out kind of the hard problems. And that's what the kind of the idea with the Merkle proof is.
Thanks.
Sherrod, I really like the idea. I have just one question. If you use the pixel data as the pre-image, can't I brute force this?
Yeah, great question. So if you're buying a single pixel, and the demo kind of goes over this, yes, the pixel data, so it's a 256-bit pre-image. We have the pixel data encoded into a portion of that, but at least 100 bits of that pre-image is just a random noise. And then just for user interface, you can invoice multiple pixels. And so what we do is you just take the pixel data and concatenate it all in SHA-256, and that's the pre-image. So that when our application releases like all these pixels that are concatenated, you could SHA-256 that and then get the pre-image that way as well. So we're just trying to really establish that mathematical relationship between the art and what's being purchased. And also, frankly, what the artist committed to in the beginning of, like, the artist declared, this is a piece of art. You don't know it. It's secret art. You got to buy it from me. And when you do buy it, you'll know that it is authentic. One other thought. I'll have to get my co-founder on here. I'll probably have to do a similar video to just kind of show what our kind of front end user interface is starting to look like. That's a little whiles off yet, but yeah, I promise you, it's going to be pretty cool.
Cool. On a less technical note, when I saw it, I just immediately thought of Battleship. So yeah.
Yeah, we've when we start seeing stuff like that, like little treasure hunt games, instantly pop to mind. Probably like with the way the Lightning Network works here, it takes a moment to kind of pay an invoice. So like a turn-based strategy game that kind of it allows like the length of time. I think stuff like that is definitely coming to mind. So yeah, that's the kind of thing we want to inspire just by getting this out there. It's like somebody else can pick up on that and do their idea.
Yeah, I think I put something at the time about this. I think you pronounce it right, Anki, which is like a memorization formula. I forget the name of the guy at PayPal, Max Levchin. I think if I'm pronouncing the surname right, he did a blog post about recall and memorization, and I just thought the thing that you'd be pretty cool if I could be penalised for getting a flashcard wrong. I thought that would be quite an interesting use case. And I think Andre was talking about similar sort of penalisation with Bitcoin, which would be pretty interesting. But I have no idea if it would work. It's just that I kind of thought of that at the same time.
Jared, is your DApp or is your Lightning app? I think the term for that is LAT now. Is it open source?
No, it's not. We're definitely considering that. It's just like I'm rewriting, and like it's kind of volatile in my development. Maybe later on we'll open source it. I did open source. I just wrote a little script to mock out C Lightning. I talked about that very briefly in the video, and it's on my GitHub username Jarrett, just my first name, Jarrett/mock C Lightning, because that's a reusable piece that I think other people could use. But yeah, if it kind of starts taking the shape of a framework where like somebody can just grab it and then apply it to their idea, I think I would like to open source it.
Awesome. And I was also wondering, like, is there any particular reason you chose C Lightning over, let's say, LND or other implementations?
No, I just my career before Bitcoin was programming in C, so just C Lightning made sense to me. I compiled it, it worked, and that's what I started building on. So that's about it. And my use case is fairly straightforward. Like I'm running a centralized server on Amazon, so I don't need too exotic of features just yet. I just need the thing to invoice and work.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes. I mean, Satoshi Games. We've got any updates there that we want to share, or?
Sure. Yeah. From our side, we've been doing kind of like we haven't released more updates in the public source for the next version because we're trying to compile a better version with kind of a modular version where you have sub applications within the gaming platform. We are also including more games, Easter eggs, crypto jokes, trying to integrate a full functionality of Lightning Network in games, mechanics, and engines. And yeah, adding some like a crypto Steam, like a Steam platform with some arcade games related to crypto, but in a really low level, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, we have released a week ago like an announcement explaining what's the next features that we're going to do, we're going to release. And yeah, right now we have a prototype which is live in Satoshi.games. Yeah, I mean, we'll release this prototype in order to test how the users and how the market was having the reaction and traction of with the prototype. And yeah, after the quiet success of people liking it and people having fun and we playing these like arcade games or classic based games, yeah, we decided to take more seriously into the next step of building an actual platform where based on transparency, where users can upload games or sell their figures or sell their in-games and adapt it to the necessity of gamers.
Cool.
Yeah, Carlos, do you let's imagine the 1 year from now, and I'm like a user of your platform. So it's like I will be able to add the game on your platform, specify the Lightning Network node public key, and like receive some in-game payments, or how this would look like to me from user perspective in one, like in a half year, in 1 year.
From the user perspective, we want to add features for game developers or users that they want to upload an in-game service without being necessarily a game, such as an extension. And yeah, what was the specific question in terms of user experience? How was going to be the application, or what was the question?
Yeah, so you're making the platform. You're saying that it will be something like a Steam, and I'm trying to figure out how this would integrate with Lightning Network, and how you see the Lightning Network improve your platform, basically.
Yeah, we have found out two cases in the short term. The first one is for game types. The first, what I mean game types is you have this, free experience that you can play for free, and then you can have fun playing because there is not an esports or a competitive game. But in the case of being a competitive game, you can pay like a micro ticket to enter into a tournament where you can play against other players' score, and the biggest score pulls the actual money, the full money. And that's the first use case in the short term we're building right now. And the second use case, it doesn't have to do with the type of gaming. It has to do with the actual in-game. So in some games, there are a microeconomy, built in the game engine when you can, have your economy and it's only into the game. So we want to add this economy exporting from the game mechanics. Well, not completely, because we'll be always, calls from APIs or gRPC backend. And yes, the second idea is to implement a Lightning Network as a second, well, as a main economy layer, but external from the game engine. Let's put the example of this game, the Super Mario, the Super Bro that we have, that this Super Mario has to be earning digital satoshis So the incentive of earning the Satoshis is that if you pass the game and then you win the game, you can withdraw the Satoshis back. So there is no only a incoming route of payment with the normal games. In this case, Lightning Network will be useful for having exportation of value and importations of value. So transactions can be going forth and forward from the game mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and you see these games to be web games, or so the end user would play in the browser, or
ideally, well, more than ideally, in the short first term, it was the prototype launched, and the prototype was in web, and then continue in support for web, because it's something that we have already been building on. Because the big amount of open source game where we can reduce, modify, or implement Lightning Network into those games is easier to handle as a first start. But I'm considering that in order to scale as a gaming platform, it's important to take advantage of the power of a GPU, and especially that's more likely to be used in desktop applications or desktop games that they can have more match.
So, as a game, sorry guys, if I how much question do I have?
You've got 2 more, and anything after that, I'll send you a Lightning invoice, and then we can do it. The question.
Okay. So, yeah. So, as a game developer, why? As far as I understand, every game developer should have a Lightning Network node installed on the side of game server, right?
As a game developer, every game developer should have Lightning Network installed in their backend. You mean?
Yeah.
As a game developer that wants to develop games to upload the games in Satoshi's games, you mean?
Okay. So, yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. That's all from my side of it.
Cool. Is there anybody else that wants to give an overview before we move on? Because we were going to do a sort of like a Lightning Peach overview as well from Pavel. Is there anybody else that wants to give a quick overview before we move on?
Hey, Pavel.
No, all right. I think the floor is Pavel's. If he's, I think he's on the call somewhere. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm here.
Wicked. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Lightning Peach have been doing some interesting stuff, and there was a video that dropped a couple of days ago with a sort of Lightning-enabled coffee machine, and then prior to that, there's been some wallet videos going around, and yeah, I'd asked Pavel if he'd come on and give an overview of Lightning Peach, what they're up to, and sort of sharing what they're doing.
Well, yeah. Hi, everyone. As of the overview, well, we actually do a number of things related to Lightning Network. First of all, really soon we plan to release in open source our own node implementation done on Rust, which we actually are using now as experimental in our products, and we of course would release it in some GitHub repository, and if accessible for everyone to experiment. We hope that this node would be faster and more, I would say, reliable, at least in terms of memory usage, compared to the other implementations. For instance, we were running an LND node for several weeks in the experiment, and I don't know if it was memory leak or some other problem, but it consumed 40 gigabytes of RAM after several weeks of intensive usage. Well, I really hope that there will be no such problem with the Rust node, because Rust handles such memory stuff well. The other thing that was just mentioned, we did a number of integrations related to Lightning. For instance, about the coffee machine, we actually created, in the most vending machines and coffee machines and all other stuff like that, starting from, I think, starting from the year 2000, they developed a common protocol called an MDB that's used as a protocol to connect the payment system to the machine. So we created a custom chip that connects some old computer like Raspberry Pi or such to this coffee machine payment interface, so that you can use it like so you can use Lightning and Bitcoin payments in coffee machine as, I would say, conventional payment interface. So like a card reader in machine, and we actually assembled that into our office, and it works quite well. So you'll all see in the video really soon. I hope by the end of the next week we'll already have the second version of this machine, which would support an NFC payments, which should make things even more convenient. Also, we created Lightning Wallets, both desktop and mobile version. Desktop we already released on our website, so everyone can download and try. Mobile, in fact, is also released, but it's like now it closed beta. We'll have NFC payments in mobile as well. And as of mobile, we took, I would say, an interesting approach. I mean, by the end of September, we'll release the first version in public of mobile wallet, and in fact, to just work with remote Lightning node. But the next version, which I hope will be out and somewhere in the second half of October, will use what we call a Lightning driver, which actually kind of remote interface. I mean, which still connects to remote node, but in a secure way. I mean, that all the cryptography would be on the side of mobile phone, and Lightning remote Lightning node would be running, like a headless mode. So with no secret on the side of the node, so that you can safely run it in the cloud or whatever you want, wherever you want. With no security issues. So we really hope.
You guys are based in Moscow, yeah?
Well, no, I'm personally based in Moscow, but the team itself, most of the teams in Bitfury is quite scattered around the globe. So I have guys around Europe and even some people in America. So it's kind of distributed. But yeah, I'm personally in Moscow.
Okay. And am I right? Is it Vasil? Is one of your guys? He's in the group. He's in the makers group as well. Is he a marketing guy? I think, if I'm saying his name right. Is it Vasil? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah. He's a guy you like to communicate with community, help with PR, marketing stuff, right? Yeah.
There was a video that I saw a few weeks back that gave a demo of like a wallet that you guys were putting together, and I mean, it was a cool interface. But the thing that I thought was pretty interesting was the you had a feature around streaming payments. I think it was like pay per second or some. I can't remember the terminology that was used, but I'm conscious it was one of the first wallets that I'd seen to offer this streaming payment with like a play button. Is that going to be part of the wallet when it's released? What's the thinking around that? What's that going to be able to offer? Just because it seemed pretty interesting.
Well, this feature is, I would say, already kind of released, because it's available in the wallet that's already on our site, so that everyone can download to try it. Well, currently it works like in really simple manner, so that you just set up the rate, like the amount of money per second you're going to pay. You push the play button, and the streaming payment starts, and you just stop when you think that's enough. We'll have this reworked in our next releases. But I really hope that we would be able to like have monthly releases for our desktop and mobile wallet. So the next desktop release is planned for 26th of September.
Sorry.
Will have this. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It just I'm not sure if that was I think that was probably my internet connection, but I just lost the last sentence. What did you say at the last sentence? Sorry.
Will extension of desktop world released in 25th or maybe 26th of September. The mobile wallet around of November. And starting from that, we plan to have fair updates for these projects like every month or so. And for the upcoming version of the wallets, we'll have this stream payment mechanism updated a bit, so that it works like, more subscription-like way. So that when you get the payment request, this payment request in fact specifies this recurring payment. I mean, in that it's not that you just as currently is now wallet. You say like I pay you like several satoshis per second, but instead the payment request specifies that, for instance, you would need to do like payments every like 2 days on the certain amount, and this amount could also be fixed in dollar. Using the certain days. So yeah, we have this mechanism, and we plan to like improve it.
Yeah, no, it's really, I think it's really cool, because I just look at it and I think that if you can offer, if you allow podcasts or YouTube or any kind of you can offer decentralized media streaming with that, where you're kind of paying for fragments of the media that's being consumed. And I just feel like what I saw on that wallet was just interesting, because I feel like it's the first one that I'd seen anyway that was getting anywhere close to that. And I do think it opens up a whole interesting area of like being able to like dynamically scale up and down bit rates based on the content, and like even sort of fragmenting data, or kind of like paying based on quality as well. So like being able to change that not only from a pay per second, but being able to like pay based on the quality. I can pay less for a file if I'm happy taking it at a lower rate than a higher quality. Have you guys seen any kind of?
Well, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we've already content. Surprisingly, if we, for instance, if we're talking about video content, choose because surprisingly, for the video provider, at least what we've seen what we've talked to, this kind of contradicts the I would say license agreements. Can't really handle the per second show, because you typically assume something like if person watched at least like 30 seconds or minutes, these agreements assume that the streaming service should pay the content providers like for like if whole video was watched. So it's not really working, but we continue experimenting. For instance, as you've maybe also seen, the press release partnered with the so-called Stream company, which is to provide some video content, and there we will have this per second verification. So yeah, and I think it's not the only example we have, but we're the only one we have in public. So yeah, we're looking for a way, and I think in general with Lightning Beach, we're looking for a way to bring all this stuff to like the real world, the real content or the real goods.
Pavel, this is Oleg. Would you be comfortable to share more details about partnership with Dstream? It was announced somewhere, meaning it's already public, I assume, but more like on the technical level. Are they integrated into your wallet, or what's the technical need behind it?
You already asked me that. So no secret here. They create the platform for video content streaming, and they like asked us to help them with technology stuff related to the Lightning payments. So we basically do this infrastructure level Lightning payments for them. So it's available on the platform. Just that.
Do you have any partnership around? Do you have any partnership around the wallet? Like meaning their customers would be using your wallet or anything like that?
Well, no, we don't plan. At least now we don't plan to introduce any, this vendor lock sync to our wallet. No.
Thank you.
No, we don't. Even we also, I think we mentioned it several times. We also are running now. I mean, we don't promote it now into general public. What we also run, what we call, surprisingly, a hub, meaning that the server with some specific features. Allowing to, I mean, we did not, in addition to what we did for the coffee machine, vending machine, we also as a hub server that allows, that I would say handles some problems with management of Lightning payments for the merchant parties. And even for that service, we don't restrict ourselves to using our wallet. So we're actually happy with other wallets joining.
Okay, cool. Anybody have any other questions? Andre, I think you're on mute if you... Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Okay, even if no questions now, I mean, I'm available until if anyone...
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, probably I missed this. How could I try the wallet right now? Could you send the link so that we could try it out?
Well, it's really simple. I mean, the current release and all upcoming releases is available on our website. I have to say that the build there, the desktop wallet build there,